Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. This is your January transfer window roundup, plus all the latest news surrounding the club. We have got some stuff and some details on Tel, which is why we've gone with the tap-in pun of Tell the details. So Jim selling certain portions in his company and also bits on the stadium as well. Eyes on Chris Rigg, a young star for Sunderland. We definitely want to talk about that. And Chido's chance, potentially, given how our current attackers are playing in the team. Maybe he'll get a bit of a push with the FA Cup this Friday with Leicester. Could potentially happen, so I definitely want to talk about that and the possibility of that. But we have to kick it off, Sam, with Tel. We've got to talk about this because obviously yesterday there was a bit of a wild reaction in the comments, wasn't there?
I think we discussed it, didn't we? Said if United are not doing this deal, there has to be a reason for it. Like there has to be a reason for it.
Yeah.
And I suspected financial, because why would you not do it if it's a loan? There must be a financial reason. I don't know if you're going to go into the details of what that sort of deal was. But yeah, it makes sense now, doesn't it? Makes sense why we didn't do it.
So, Florian Plettenberg, who's, make of what you will of him, but he's decent when it comes to German stuff, I would say. So, he gave an update. He said, in loan fees and salary, Tottenham will pay around 12 million euros to have Mathys Tel until the end of the season. Tel will also have a decisive say whether Spurs trigger their option to buy clause of 55 million euros or not. You kind of look at that, Sam, and go, well, you can see why they didn't do it, innit? Because you're improving someone's player when they didn't even offer us, I don't think, a buy option or an obligation or anything like that. It was just, here's the price, 12 million euros, and we get him back in the summer. Like, no one's going to do that, are they? Apart from Spurs,
so
obviously.
So it's like you want to pay 10 million up front on a loan fee, which for a loan fee is ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, heavy.
Like a loan fee is what, 2 million, 3, 4 million.
João Felix, when we asked for him, and he said 10 to 15 million pounds. Remember?
And that's why we went.
And we was like, fuck off.
Yeah. So that, like, a loan fee is normally a couple of million at the most. Like this thing. So 10 million off the bat, you're right. You're like, that's ridiculous. And then the paying is full wage, which I imagine he's not on a small wage at Bayern Munich, is he? Like, I imagine he's on a decent whack. Obviously not Harry Kane money, but I imagine he's on a decent whack. So full wage coverage for 6 months or 5 months, whatever long we've got left in the season. So that's another 2 million. So that's 12 million. And then it's not even an obligation to buy, it's an option to buy, which you've just said, and I didn't know that bit, that Mathys has a say in whether he goes, so they could activate it, and then he just goes, you know what, I don't want to be there. So they've just spent 12 million on a player who basically doesn't want to be there, and he's just used. So they've been used to develop this player that they're going to use in their first team and sort of like. So you're basically getting all the benefit buy-in and none of the negative. So it's like, why the fuck would United do that? Why would we spend money on a player that no guarantee to stay here, has no part of the future plans, and may or may not want to be here? It's a stupid idea, and no wonder we didn't do it. I think Fabrice Hawkins said Bayern were greedy in their negotiations with United, which is why it didn't happen. And from that state of affairs, you can fucking tell, because that's insane.
Yeah, there's going to be one thing that swings this in there, and it's going to be if he goes there and starts tearing it up. That is when you know for a fact that is when fans are going to turn around and go, we could have got him. You know, Tottenham are in a similar position to us in the league. They're only just below us by about 3 points, I think. We're both having a catastrophic season. They've gone and reinforced. He's now scoring goals for them, and we're still struggling to score. And we haven't got our one who's bagging goals at the minute, Sam Alessandro, because he's just been injured. So I think that's when the narrative could flip, right?
Yeah, true. But financially, Tottenham are in a very much better position than we are. So they've got their brand new stadium, which they've now paid off. They're getting income. I think they've got like second, third highest income in the league in terms of gate revenue, because they host events there as well, like racing and concerts and NFL and what have you. So they're getting a high income for that. And then I don't think they're in the amount of debt we're in. So you've got to look at that in terms of they're not in trouble with PSR constraints or FFP or anything like that. They're safely above that. We are right on the line of PSR. So if we say spend 12 million on Mathys Tel and then he's not an option to sort of trigger, we've just wasted 12 million and we haven't got a player to show for it. and then we have to go then spend money in the summer, which we've just wasted 12 million that could have gone towards a player to get in the summer permanently. So there's that. We need to pay for a new stadium somehow, which we don't have because our stadium's falling apart. I mean, we'll touch on that later. And then, like, what's the result out of that? Oh, we might bag a few goals for us and then goes back to buying anyway. Like, we're not winning the league at this point. No. Like, we're not getting anything out. Like, we might move up to 10th, let's say. He's cup tied, so he can't play in the Europa League because he's playing in the Champions League. So we can't play him in the Europa League. So I just don't see what the benefit is for United. What, score a couple of goals so we can move up to 10th? Amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see the benefit.
Yeah. Let's see what everyone else is saying, because obviously it's a very topical conversation. A lot of people have a lot of opinions. Danny's saying, in hindsight, United acted well in regards to Tel, wasting that sum of money on our top priority on a risk that is our third priority as a left 10 behind left wing back and striker. Nick with the green wall still. I know. I was talking about this before.
They're not going to let it go, are they?
No. I need to put something on there, but to be honest with you, with stuff like that, I'm shit at. I don't know what to put. I don't just want to put like a frame there. Like, I want to put some other stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with frames, but I just mean, I don't know. I want something different and something quirky and just like. And I don't know what that is yet. So I'm. If anyone has any ideas, then I'm more than open to it. Random's in the chat joining us, saying, "How's everyone?" I'm all right actually today. I'm doing all right. Sam, out of 10.
Yeah, a bit tired, but yeah, 7 I would say. Bit tired, but it's all good.
2 7s make 14. Random. Elite baller. Arsenal trying to win the league. Long-term injuries to their best player in Jesus. No PSR issues. New stadium yet they bought no one. It's crazy that, isn't it? Crazy.
Yeah, Arteta's comment as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, he was unhappy with the window.
We had a clear plan in the window and we didn't do it. So clearly he was after a striker, I imagine.
Yeah, and also as well, they've got a new. I mean, Edu's left, hasn't he? The sporting director. Yeah. They've got a new guy coming in. Like, their summer could be a bit. I mean, they've got Saliba's got 2 years left on his deal. Saka's got 2 years left on his deal. Odegaard's got 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah,
this is that kind of pendulum swing moment for them where it's getting to summer and you're like,
if they don't win anything this season, is the pressure then on Arteta? Like, we spent all this money, we've built this team, and you've not won anything.
Yeah.
I think Jorginho's out of a contract as well. I think Partey's out of a contract in the summer. So you might have to rebuild your midfield again. So
very interesting. I suppose if anything they've got, I mean, the youngsters coming through there, that Lewis Skeller against City the other day, really good. Obviously got 1 year who scored as well. So look, we've got bigger fish to fry, one might say. And that, in the context of that, we speak about the stadium. We speak about, there's a bit of news about Ratcliffe trying to find a buyer for Ineos Hygienics, apparently. I don't know if that has any kind of effect on United. I don't think it will, because it's just a business, right? But that got reported before. Also reported before as well, saying despite Ineos wanting to have a new stadium finished by 2030, industry insiders believe it could be 2032 before Old Trafford could be fully rebuilt or redeveloped, given that it could take several years just to get full planning approval. That is crazy, isn't it, Sam?
These projects take time, man. Like, these projects, they cost money, and it takes, like, with bureaucracy, is like, especially when it comes to sort of
what's bureaucracy?
This paperwork and bidding and going through governments and all that sort of stuff. Anytime you have to build something, you have to go through God knows how many organizations, and God knows how much paperwork you have to fill in, and plans you have to file for, and licenses and approvals and tests and all this other shit just to get something built. So, and they're not fast about it. Like, they're just not fast about it. So that's the part. When it's of this size, like, it's even more so. So yeah, it's going to take a while. So just sort of buckle up. I wouldn't expect anything for a good, what are we in 2025 now? So they're saying so 7 years, they're saying, before it's finished. Normally there's delays on these things. Normally it goes over budget, as we saw with, do you remember, I don't know if you remember when they were building a new Wembley. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I think it went over budget by like a couple of billion, which is ridiculous. So it could well happen with United as well. So yeah, buckle up for it. It's not happening in the next 2 years, put it that way.
Well, there's a question to you and to the chat as well. Within that time frame, will Old Trafford see a Premier League title again?
At a minute, I'm saying no, but
Is that because of
because of where we're at in a minute. But say next year, like if you ask me the same time next year and Amrim's got his players in and we're playing great football and we're up in the table, I might feel a bit more positive about it. What about
possible?
You? Do you think we win one?
That's what I'm thinking. Is it possible? Really? Like, how much work does this team need? You know,
I'd say like it needs a couple of years' work. So I wouldn't say it's possible next year or the year after. But depending on how good we are in the transfer window, how we sort out our PSR and our finances and that kind of stuff, and how we get rid of players, it's doable. It's possible, but we've got to make smart decisions, and the majority of those decisions have got to be correct. And in the past 10 years, the majority of our decisions we've made have not been. And that's why we're at where we're at.
I think an example you can use, I mean, Chelsea, I mean, maybe the year before, you could potentially say, I thought they finished lower last year. They finished 12th in the 22-23 season, right? And at the start of the season, for the first half, people were talking about competing for a championship and so it shows there's evidence there within a couple of years you can push back up that thing, but it's all about recruitment. Recruitment has to be spot on. Now, it seems like they're doing that in the younger ones and bringing them through and planning for the future, and we'll talk about Chris Rigg in a minute. But as well as that, the senior players that they bring around them as well is really important. That's when I really know, like, the quality levels.
Mentality is a big thing that I think we haven't scouted for in the last couple of players that we bought. Like, if you look at the likes of Sancho, obviously the mentality wasn't right, was it? Like, it just wasn't. You look at people like Alexis Sanchez and stuff like that. Like, these players' mentality wasn't there. Like, Alexis Sanchez got here day one and didn't want to be here. So it's like, you've got to look at that sort of stuff. And then you look at the overspend as well, the amount of overspend, which has put us in a financial position where we can't go buy players in January, despite the fact that we desperately need them. So you look at that as well. Casemiro is late, like on the decline of his career, and we spent 70 million. He's on 300 odd K a week on a 5-year deal. Like, decisions like that cost you.
Not going to sniff it at the minute.
Decisions like that cost you big time and set you back a long way. But you look at the likes of, like, take a look at Forest last year, fighting relegation. This year, people were predicting they might go down, and now they're in third and they're playing fantastic football and they look phenomenal and could well qualify for the Champions League. Yeah. So shit like that happened. Bournemouth, you hated Bournemouth for a long time, saying shit team and Eddie Howe, and they played fine, and they were a lower middle table team, weren't they? They'd finished 13th, 12th. That was about what they got to. Iriola's come in, transformed them, signed some good players, got them playing again, and they're like, what, I think they're 8th, 7th or something in the table.
Might be higher than that, to be honest.
Might be higher than that. Pushing for European football, play some fantastic football, really enjoy watching them. And he's done it in a year or so. Like, that's how much recruitment can turn things around, and the right manager with the right stuff. That's how much it could turn around. Forest, Brighton are having a bit of a shit time in a minute, but when he first came in, they were good. Fulham, Michael Silva, a couple of years, he's turned them around, got him playing. It can happen. So get recruitment right, get the manager backed, and the right sort of tactics. Get rid of the players who are not here for the fight, not here for the thing. You can do something, but it's all about the right decisions.
The only thing I'll say about those clubs is obviously the pressure and the media is a lot different around those two clubs, isn't there? So the expectations for those clubs is literally fighting relegation and getting out of there. Yeah. So when they do find themselves in third and fourth in Nottingham Forest's case, it's kind of like, oh, pressure's off because you're playing, you're enjoying it, just see what we can get out of this season. Whereas there is this storm around United at the moment, and you see why so many managers and players and they just really seem to struggle. It's because I think a lot of it is the media and the attention, and I think it really does drain this club. And I don't know how you change that.
Mentality. That's the mentality factor. Because so many players come to this club and they were tearing it up at other clubs, weren't they? Like Sancho at Dortmund, absolutely playing well. Come to this club, and like you said, the media pressure, fan expectation, all that sort of stuff, it just gets to them and they can't handle it. Can't deal with it. You look at the sort of players who played under Fergie and played at like similar, not, I'd say, minus the social media stuff that's going on at the minute. Obviously, that's a different factor. But the media pressure is still the same, pretty much, wasn't it? Yeah. Like, the papers would go at United all the time, like Beckham and stuff like that. But these players were mentally strong and they just focused on what they were doing. Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, Roy Keane, Beckham, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Vidic, Rio, Stam, like just name whoever you want from a Fergie team. Mentality was there. So they weren't. Some of them even weren't the best players in the world, like Ji-sung Park and Darren Fletcher, and stuff like that. But the mentality was strong, which means they could do things with the pressure on them. I don't think there's many players at the club that we've had in the last 10 years that have had the correct mentality. In my eyes, anyway, I think the pressure's got to him every single time.
I think winning always helps as well. If you go on a strong, I heard complaints about the Palace game, saying that the atmosphere was, a bit dead and here and there, and it's because people are just. I mean, we've said it on this channel multiple times. How many times after a game, the season's done, we've wrote off. We're not really. Yeah. No one's asked about the season anymore. No one cares because it's just
nothing
done.
To play for.
There's nothing. It's the Europa League, that's it. I mean, the FA Cup, as soon as we play it, an half-decent team will get knocked out there.
Yeah.
So the Europa League is quite literally the only one where you're like, maybe we can do something there. So the majority of fans have kind of just thought, you know what, just, wait until the summer, basically.
The ticket pricing doesn't help either.
Another thing,
like, we're playing shit and we're not.
And you're charging us a lot.
You're charging 66 quid for it. So most fans are going, you know what? I'm not going to bother. It's just not fucking ass, which can't blame him. Can't blame him.
Absolutely not. Right, back to the comment section and what we're saying, people. Please do smash a like on the video, by the way, and subscribe to the channel. We're on 12,507 subscribers, which is really, really nice. On the road to 20,000, which is great. Should hit that. I mean, in no time, by the way, the subs are going up at the minute. Danny's saying, any rebuild begins from above and within. The last place we will see the benefits will be on the field. We have youth recruitment, fixing our leaking finances and structure. Patience. I like that comment. Danny, most live with mummy still and are involuntary celibates, bro. Okay. Nick and Sam, has Amorim made a lot of mistakes already, in your opinion? That's a good question, I think. The only one I would go to is maybe the decision to start Kobe and experiment in the last game. That's the one I look at, and I think potentially, I mean, I know you're trying something, and I think that's okay if, let's say it's an FA Cup home game against, I would say Coventry then, Jesus, not Coventry, but you know what I mean? Yeah, they almost beat us, so that's a terrible example. But like a League 2 team or something, then you can experiment it, and you can see how it works. I think that was, maybe Amorim, if you asked him now, he would probably say, yeah, maybe I got that wrong. But apart from that, I think the way he's dealt with the Rashford situation, the way he's dealt with the media, I've quite liked it, to be honest. I think it's been quite refreshing. I don't know what you think.
I mean, he's been upfront and honest. Like, players who he doesn't rate don't play, or he's tried to get out of the club.
Yeah.
Anthony's gone. Rashford's gone. Malassia's gone. Yeah. I'm sure he would have liked to have got rid of Casemiro, but obviously no one's paying that wage, so he's in. But you can see he's not playing. He's not playing. And then he's played the players that he can trust. Like, they're the ones that get game time. And I think with his strikers, he's sent a message there to the board and to everybody else. He doesn't have a striker that he can depend on to score goals. Boylan's not getting it done. Xerxes not getting it done. And he wanted to try something, an experiment. And like you said, the league's gone. Like, it's fucking done. So this is the place where you're going to do it. He is in pre-season right now, in the middle of the season. He's trying to figure out what he's got, who's up for it, who he can trust, and then he can go into next season, recruit the things that he needs, keep the people that he wants, and then he can go forward into that pre-season and start building what he needs to do. But he's in pre-season right now trying to figure it all out. And unfortunately, he has to experiment in games in the league and stuff like that, and you get what happened against Crystal Palace. But like you said, the league's done. So, like, if he was doing it in the Europa League, I'd be a bit more worried, because I think we've got a chance of winning that, and I think that's important. But in the Premier League, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, just fucking get on with it.
Back to the comments. At the very least, we need 5-6 players and 2-3 seasons to get back into the consistent top 4. 10 million and 60 million buy one clause. Glad United walked away from this one. In regards to the Tel deal. Nick and Sam, I wanted Amorim to do more with what he's got. Look at Bournemouth. They sell their best striker, yet they are on fire right now. But it's also a time thing as well. Iriola's had, 2 years with him now? 2.5 seasons or whatever it is?
He's had transfer windows as well to buy players.
Like, they are an extremely well-coached team. There's no getting away from that. One of the best coached teams in the league, I would probably say. And he will get a big job as well. His next job will be massive. But again, he's had time. Come to us in a season and a half, if we're still watching the same football now, the majority of us will be like, obviously it's not working. So patience is a thing I would kind of offer for a lot of things.
that's what, like, with Ten Hag, a lot of people wanted him out quite early, and like hindsight's 2020 and all that.
Yeah.
But he'd had 2.5 seasons,
Mm.
and he'd been backed fully. He got the
Yep.
players that he wanted, spent a lot of money, and it just wasn't improving. At that point, I think it's fair to judge a manager and be like, he got all the players, he was backed, and he's not improving.
Mm.
That's why he lost his job. I think it's unfair to judge Amorim to go, why are you not getting the best out of these players? These are not his players.
Mm.
Like, he came to think these are not his players. Like, you could see he's got rid of he's got rid of Rashford, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, how many managers came to this club and went, nah, Rashford gone? Yeah. Like, he's done it. So I think you've got to give the guy time. You've got to give him his players in and stuff. Like, that's just the result of it.
I keep going back to that colonoscopy analogy, and it's true. They are flooding all the shit out at the minute, and that's just the process we're in. And if we understand that, we get to the summer, then we start the proper build, and we'll see. Tactical Devils in the chat saying big up, love that name. Looking back at the Tel deal, I could say United did the right thing of walking away. Don't want to say it, but it's not only the media that hounds United. We've got a few fans that are very doom and gloom. It does not help the team at all. And also, you have people in the media, like in similar spaces like what we do. We obviously try to keep it very balanced and try not to, push certain agendas or narratives at all. But narratives do get spewed out in the media, and they try force you to think a certain way, and they try to get you to react a certain way to things like that. So just be very careful of that as well. Like the Tel deal is a perfect example. You saw a lot of people, the big accounts online.
Why are we not selling him? Why are we not getting him?
It's ridiculous. Can't believe this. And they're not spending money. Fucking Ineos out, Glinios and all this kind of shit. And it's like, perspective is really important on this.
Yeah.
I'd say. Don't want to say it, but it's not only... Oh, sorry, I already read that out. Sorry. If you give a striker the right service, even poor strikers will score. People criticising Amorim don't do their research. It was exactly the same at Sporting as he figured out that team. He then took who was ready to give their all to the top. Spot on. So many comments. There aren't players to play in Bruno's and Dallow's position. Eriksen has better football brain than Bruno, and Dorgu is here now, so Dallo should not start at left back. Eriksen has the better football brain. He might have a better football brain than Bruno, but he has no fucking legs at all, does he?
You have to substitute Eriksen at 60 minutes because he can't do a 90 minutes. So yeah, it's a good idea for first half and part of the second half, but after that you're gonna have to substitute him off. Yeah. And then Eriksen can't play 2 games a week. So he can't do Thursday, Sunday. Like, he just can't do it. So you're going to have somebody else to play there. And the only other player there is like Mainu, who's just started doing that 10 position, or Bruno. That's your 2 options. Yeah.
This team for a large time period has struggled with covering spaces. If you start starting Christian Eriksen again in your team, that's going to become even more apparent.
Ugarte is already having to like put out so many fires. He's going to just be ran into the ground if he's playing with Eriksen, because Eriksen's not going to do that dog work and go back.
He's going to choke himself out with the extinguisher. That's how many fires he'll be putting out. Rob Taft says, now the window is shut, I think Amorim will start using some youngsters from the bench. Obi, Kone, Heaven, Blanchieri, and prep for next season. Look. We'll talk about some young players, because that's at the minute that's the positive thing with United. We've been looking at a player, Sam. Again, I hadn't watched him much, so I've done my due diligence and I've got a couple of stats for you. But apparently, United had scouts at Sunderland versus Middlesbrough to watch Chris Rigg, regarded as the best player to come out of the Championship since Jude Bellingham. So there's something for you. In a midfielder that features his brother, Jude Bellingham, and a veteran such as Alan Brown, and he is the shining star of that team. He's the next one to basically push that move into the Premier League. The third youngest player to make 30 Championship appearances, joining the esteemed list which boasts the likes of Jude Bellingham and Gareth Bale. The first player to score 6 Championship goals before his 18th birthday, and he's represented England at under 15, 16, 17 and 18 level, initially being promoted to the under 17s at the tender age of 15. So again, Ineos doing their due diligence. This is another one that we're looking at, and we've been really done our scouting on him. Exciting, isn't it? We're bringing talent through like this.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the kid. Like, I've heard his name dotted around, but I've not watched him at all. I don't watch a lot of Championship football. Like, I'll occasionally watch a Michael Carrick Middlesbrough game, if it's on TV or something. But yeah, don't really watch a lot of this kid, so I'm not sure. Sunderland, they've turned a lot around recently, haven't they? Like, they've signed Enzo Lafay, haven't they?
Yeah, which was mad. We was linked with him, weren't we? Like last season or season.
He was linked to a lot. He was linked to a lot of sort of top clubs, wasn't he? So for them to get him, a hell of a coup. So like maybe we need to get in touch with Dougie again and like ask him about this Chris Rigg and just see he could give us a breakdown. But yeah, I like it. Like I think the Championship is underutilized in terms of looking for, especially young talent as well. I think it's really underutilized. Yeah. And I think we could definitely look there and spot sort of young and talent, like you spoke on Jude Bellingham. I think Ollie Watkins came from the Championship as well.
Brentford. James Maddison.
So, James Maddison, like there's a bunch of things. Jokeres played for Coventry.
Yeah.
So like there's players there that you can go in and get for relatively cheap money, and they could be a star, it could be talented. And if they're not, you can get them for cheap, and they go, all right, it's not quite United caliber, but they are a good player, and then you sell them on for a profit. So it's win-win, like either way. So yeah, I like this deal. Again, don't know much about his talent, how good he is, but if he does turn out to be great, fantastic. If not, then we could sell him for a profit. But yeah, it's interesting that United go down this route. Obviously, Dorgu, Aiden Heaven, Chido Obi-Martin, Sekou Kone, Chris Rigg. I'm sure we were looking at, there was a couple other names, links that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's exciting that we're sort of going around this sort of way instead of just going, all right, who's the best, most well-known player in this position? All right, go get him and spend 70, 80 million on him. And then he flops, and then we have to try and get rid of him.
I mean, it's not a Ballon d'Or winning name, is it? I know names has nothing to do with it, but it doesn't sound like a footballer at all.
Like Jude Bellingham has a bit of panache to it.
Yeah, it's got a bit of, Vinicius Junior has something. Chris Rigg, and you're like, okay.
It sounds like a plasterer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I'll
like
get our Riggy in to fix the thing.
But hey, if he plays well, fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely. His contract set to expire in 2027, so there's a host of clubs looking at him. Newcastle are one of them, which would be very interesting with him playing at Sunderland. Yeah. I'm sure the fans would.
I don't think that'd go down well.
No, it wouldn't go down very well. But we'll wait and see. It's someone we're assessing. Maybe it's a move that we make in the summer. If there is anyone in the chat, I know you guys, watch your football in depth. So if there is anyone who's watched him a lot more closely than me and Sam have, then please do put your opinions in the chat. Ed Barrett saying, has anyone seen Amas lately? His one football profile has him at 6 foot tall. I bet he won't be feeling that in a minute, though, because he's not getting a sniff in the first team, is he? We was looking to loan him out, but I think it's just...
He decided not to, did they? They said they didn't want
the right club, they need the right move for him. Do I agree with everything Ineos do? No. But they have zero choice if they want to make United float again with all the mismanagement of the Glazers. Can't undo 20 years in one. It's going to take years to fix. They've inherited a shit show. It is a well-known fact. They have walked in. Yeah. Basically, what Ratcliffe's done is he's walked into the party and there's shit on the walls. The kids going wild. The music's up too loud. And they're like, right, we're going to have to do some difficult things. We're going to be the party poopers, We're going to have to do it. And I get that the stadium thing, like Sam's touched on so many times, the tickets is something that I can't defend personally. I think it was ridiculous putting up to £60.
It was good to see them retract the concession thing on disabled supporters, though.
Yeah, that
was a good thing.
Yeah,
obviously, it was because of backlash, and they shouldn't have made that decision in the first place, which terrible decision. But at least they've sort of backtracked on it, which I think is the right thing to do, because I think charging fans more is ridiculous, but the fact that they got rid of stuff for disabled supporters and that, who I think should be treated better than any other supporter, and the fact that, again, I go on about it every week, but the fact that they're sat right next to the away fans underneath them is a fucking disgrace. Why the fuck? That's just the stupidest place to put disabled supporters. Yeah. But same with concessions for older people and stuff like that. They should not be paying shit tons of money. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that stuff Ineos can be criticised 100% for, because I don't agree with it whatsoever.
Just to go back a little bit, just to young talents, we talk about Chris Rigg, a current player we've already got, Chido Obi-Martin. I thought it was interesting. I saw a stat before, so he's been directly involved in 10 goals in 500 minutes across the under-18s, Premier League and FA Youth Cup this season. That's a goal or an assist every 50 minutes on average, which would obviously suggest he's starting to knock on the first team door. We've got a game against Leicester coming up in the Cup. What do you reckon? Should be.
Yeah, he scored a hat-trick a couple of weeks ago as well, didn't he?
Mate, he's been just bagging goals left, right, centre.
Yeah, he's smashing it. I think why not? What have we got to lose? Can he be any worse than Rasmus and Xerxes? I don't think.
Especially in a cup game against Leicester at home. You know?
Yeah, he comes on and doesn't score. Oh, great! He's just like the other strikers we've got. Then
Yeah,
they're not any worse off. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, and I think sometimes you see, like especially sometimes the youth players that when you bring them on like positions like this, they just run on adrenaline for like the first couple of games and they just like fucking smash it. Like you remember Rashford came on against Midtjylland and just absolutely tore it up.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting to play and stuff, and just like, and then that cemented into the team after that. And I think Chido Obi-Martin could be another one of those. He could go in, absolutely smash it, and then you're like, all right, cool, I've got another striking option here that I can use. Obviously, don't play him into the fucking ground like we have done with previous youth players, but I don't see what the issue would be. He seems to be the closest one to getting into this team. I think the stuff I've read on Sekou Kone is going to take him a while because he's brand new into the country. He's still getting used to things. I think he was injured recently as well.
So and also the midfield, Sam, that area is tricky in it. In a big game, whereas as striker, you're there to score goals. So you know,
so he's going to be a while, I think. Which I think I'm fine with that. That's fine. Yeah. Aiden Heaven was bought apparently for the first team. Apparently, he is going to be part of the first team. So I'm sure with Leach being out, we'll see him sooner rather than later. The Leach is out for the season. So yeah, I what have we got to lose by putting him on the bench against Leicester? I really don't see what we've got to lose.
I think so. 20 minutes, take 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you said, like Højlund scored 2 goals in the Premier League this season. Xerxes scored 3. Chido's bagging him in. I know the level is different. I know academy football to Premier League football is completely different. But I just don't think you're not going to absolutely ruin a kid's confidence if he comes on for 10 minutes against Leicester and doesn't get a goal. It's a learning curve, isn't it?
It's Leicester in the FA Cup. This is not a Champions League final against Real Madrid. Like, let's just, give. And it's the history of the club. We've done this so many times. Yeah. Bergie did it all the time. Cup competitions, he'd bring through a player. This is the one we got to look at and see. Some of them didn't work. Some of them did. Like Federico Macheda came on against Villa, scored the winner. And everybody thought, this guy is going to be like the next sort of star. And he didn't make it. But he came on, got that winning goal, and we won the title because of it. So they can have an impact at the club, maybe just not longevity-wise. So he could come on. It might be 1-1 or something. He scores the winner, and we're through to the next round. He might then become a star for United, but he still has an impact on the team. So, yeah, I don't see why not. I would definitely.
I think that Leicester game's going to be interesting for multiple reasons. One, it's at Old Trafford again, where our record has been horrendous. 2, because I want to know what they're going to do with the left-sided centre-half situation. I mean, someone just put in the chat there, and the Majrawi, I think it was random, would probably start there. I'd imagine so, and I'd be comfortable with that. But also, Luke Shaw could be back. So that preview that we're going to do tomorrow, by the way, for the Leicester game, make sure you come and tune in for that, because there's a lot of different kind of segments that I want to touch on that game. And it's going to be interesting. So, yeah, that'll drop tomorrow, as well as we'll be live for whatever news is popping off surrounding Manchester United. A couple of other things in the pipeline at the moment. I know a couple of you keep asking about merchandise as well. We are working on that. Me and Sam, just as like behind the curtain kind of thing.
Transfer window has been so busy. It's been insane. And then we've had interviews, and we've Mupteers, Carl Anker. Nick's got a full-time job. I've got a full-time job. It's just madness. But the transfer window's calmed down now, so we should have a bit more time. So we'll get our heads together. We'll design some stuff, and then we'll start letting you guys know when it's ready to go. And yeah, all the people who are asking about it, you better fucking buy it.
Yeah. If we make it, Where is it? And we're like, well, it's ready. And they're like, oh yeah, we're not really bothered now, to be honest with you. But yeah, look, we're grateful for people to just be asking for about it.
Yes, obviously. I'm tongue in cheek, by the way.
Yes, tongue in cheek, of course. But yeah, look, keep an eye out for those kind of things. Stay locked in. This community is growing every single day. 12,509 of you, which is legendary, and so many of you in the chat as well. So I'll read out your comments before we go, because I don't want to ignore anyone. McMillan saying, should get Rude to give Chido some pointers before the game on the weekend. Yeah, I'm sure he'd like that. Jamie Vardy could be a good conversation as well. I mean, top striker. Leicester's a must-win for the manager. A loss would be a disaster. Dorgu will probably start versus Leicester, potentially. I hope he does.
It'd be a lot to ask, wouldn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I think he'll get minutes.
He'll get minutes. He'll be on the bench, I reckon.
Yeah. Punch saying, big up Real Reds Talk. Appreciate all the work you guys put in. Legends. Always so nice with the comments.
Thank you.
Punch. Really appreciate that. Shaw is a few weeks away, apparently.
Mm.
And Mr. Pulpits 5000 says, why is everyone so disappointed with our transfer window? Ineos issued a transfer ban back in November. No one was coming. Interesting. Very interesting.
We signed 3 players, so obviously it's not a transfer ban, is it?
No. Yeah. Bringing players in, it's got to be the right ones. This is what we emphasised. Like, don't just go and buy fucking someone for the sake of it. Bring them in if they're the right fit. If they're not the right fit, we wait. And we'll do it in the summer.
Don't overpay for players, which is what we've done historically throughout our transfer history.
Yes.
And if it means walking away a few times from like certain opportunities, that's the short-term pain for the long-term gain. Because if we walk away from overpaying, clubs will then get the message that United are no longer overpaying for players. And then in the future, we'll get fair deals where we actually pay decent value for a player rather than overpay. So
I'm starting to understand why Carl Anka doesn't deal with the transfer stuff anymore, because it's just fucking nonsense, isn't it? It's become its own thing where, like,
There's a reason why it's called silly season, because it's just full of bullshit for the most part. It's that, like, me and Chivy reference all the time. It's the training day clip. It's a newspaper. This is 90% bullshit, but it entertains me. That's why I read it. That's how you got to look at every transfer thing that goes on. 90% bollocks, and there's a 10% nugget of truth there, but it's entertaining and it's big business, and that's why everybody makes such a big deal about it.
Yeah. It's like an addiction for some people, isn't it? It's like... Fill my craving, like, even if it's an Igalo loan, like, do it just so I can be like, yes, we've got a new player, we've signed someone.
Get me some pictures in a new shirt. I want to see his shirt.
In reality, it's fucking Veghorst or Igalo who comes in, and you're like, well, it's kind of, we probably shouldn't have just even brought him in at all.
I don't mind Igalo, because the guy was a fan. The fan of the club. He had United pajamas and shit. Like, he's like us, isn't he? He just wants to play. I
still remember that goal against LASK, the volley, unfucking believable. So, no Igalo in this window, and we're dealing with the squad that we've got. We'll be back for the preview tomorrow, people. So glad for reasonable YouTubers like Nick, Sam, James, and Scott Saunders. Smash likes for my brothers, Nick and Sam. Yes, please do. Appreciate every single one of you. Subscribe to the channel. We will be back tomorrow with some more content, and we've got some more members stuff coming as well. So if you would like to join the membership, we put something out on yesterday, with Carl Anka called The Extra Bit. So it was like 20-minute conversation after we'd finished up with Carl, and he was very kind to give us more time. So we've put that out for members, basically. So if you want to go check that out, you know where it's at. If you want to join, click join button next to the notification bell.
Yeah, Punchmate, random guy, you guys, are there any other members in the chat? I think you two are the only in there. But yeah, you guys can go check that out. So let us know if you liked it and you want some more of that stuff, because I think we could get like Jay Morty on or Muppeteers, and we could do some extra bits afterwards and record that with them and put that out for you guys. But yeah, anybody in the chat who's not a member and you want to see it, like Nick said, join it right next to the like and subscribe button.
Also, the socials are pushing up at a fast rate now as well. The bottom right-hand corner of your screener. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen are all your socials for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So drop us a follow on there for all your regular updates, reels, videos, fun clips, and news posts. Yeah, I think that's everything. Appreciate you all.
Yep.
Have a lovely, wonderful rest of your day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are on this planet. Me and Sam appreciate every single one of you. See you in a bit.